Okay, this one works, which is a good start. Also, I have to disagree. The whole Irish men are not sexy. When I went to university in 1995, which yes, wasn't terribly recently, in Edinburgh, a magical city of Scotsmen, I guess I'd led a sheltered existence. I hadn't encountered too many Irish people. But trust me, the Irish people were a menace because they came on in and they stole all our women. And it wasn't even physical. If you could mispronounce the phrase, "Hello there, how are you?" then women's panties just hit the ground like rocks. I mean, all the woman had to hear was, "Hi there, how are you?" Boom! Case closed. I wasn't even close. There's me doing foolish things like saying, "Hello there, how are you?" Like an idiot. I clearly should have just mangled my pronunciations. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna go and have a shower in half an hour." To be sure. Also, Guinness tastes like campfire ashes, but anyway. Also, for the record, I'm an Aquarius and purple socks are okay. I'm not sure how I feel about Frosted Flakes. Personally, Crunchy Nut Corn Flakes and granola are the bomb. Anyway. Okay, but that aside, where was I? Okay. Because, I'm not exactly my most prepared. I mean, that Irish thing, I just, couldn't contain myself. What can I say? But on a more serious note, as many people may or may not know, I love a good freebie. I mean, I can never say no to a good free offer. And yes, some of my colleagues in the audience are all too familiar with this fascination of mine. Because after all, you know free offers. Free offers are a thing, obviously. Welcome to Earth. If you don't, then report to the CIA immediately. Anyway, so point is, there's free offers out there, and I jump on them like they're a landmine. But also, if you're, say, a little bit devious, then you can maybe use multiple email addresses or multiple mobile phone numbers, and so you happen to get multiple people's freebies. And that person may or may not be me. Anyway, point is, the piper has to be paid. There is a disadvantage to all this shenanigans. And also I realized I didn't start my timer, so Tara, keep me honest. Anyway, point is that all of these companies are handing out this free crap, which I enjoy extensively, like this wonderful free t-shirt from the kind people at Eurofins. But anyway, point is, if you want next generation sequencing, these guys are the people. And I'm not even getting paid for that. Anyway, point is, and yes, I am a molecular biologist. Where was I? Yes, so freebies. The catch is that they sell your details on to every ambulance chasing Yahoo in the zoo. And so, back in Scotland, I did this, how should we say, a lot. And so, I would get lots of phone calls from like, "Hi there, would you like to claim back your incorrectly sold insurance?" And I never had that insurance because I'm not a freaking idiot. But everyone else did. And so I would try and put them off. I would like, "Okay, no, I'm very sure I didn't." "Oh, no, but you may have been missold it and it sneaked on in and you didn't notice." Like, "No, I'm not an idiot. I know, I didn't." It's like, "Are you sure, sir?" They don't take absolute certainty for an answer, so I would say, "No, as a matter of fact, I'm actually a forensic accountant." Wink. And so I definitely know that I never paid for this insurance. "No, sir, I think you might." It's like, what is wrong with these people? Even putting on an outlandish accent, not Irish, because I don't want to sleep with them, but being a creepy southern gentleman. It's like, "I do declare I have never in my entire life signed up for this insurance you're speaking of." Nope, they don't buy it at all. And so, like John Lennon said, all you need is love. So, next time I get a phone call from these yahoos, and their system generates a little sort of whoop noise that gives me like 2 seconds to limber up. So, there am I, and whoop, and they go, "Hi there, this is claims for you." And before they say the next sentence, I go, "The minute you walked in the joint, I could tell you were a man of distinction, a real big spender, good looking, so refined." They hung up before I reached the chorus. I mean, that's just great. At least let me show off my skills. But no. And amazingly, my calls from them dropped off good and proper. And you would think emigrating to Denmark would put this all behind me, but no, because my mother believes that WhatsApp is like witchcraft. So she has to have an old-fashioned phone, an old-fashioned text to a British number. So I kept my British number along with me, so I'd still get these phone calls about car accidents that I wasn't in. And once, clearly already done the singing thing, so I ain't gonna do that. So I tried, okay, trip into the Twilight Zone for you. So you say, okay, hi, we're phoning about your car accident. I mean, I actually was in a car accident, but I never went through these yahoos. Anyway, so they'd phone and say, hi, it's about that car accident you were in. I was like, no, never been in a car. It's like, oh no, but were you a passenger in a car? I said, no, I actually live on a farm and I make my own clothes out of wheat, and this phone is solar powered because I'm carbon zero, and I only ever ride a bicycle, but were you a passenger in a car? It's like, what were the sentences I just said to you? Once again, if you can't beat them, confuse them, as the great philosopher Garfield said. So I decided, right, once in a while, declare peace. It confuses your enemies. So the next time they phoned up and said, hi, we're worried about your car accident. We want to help you with your claim. I said, oh, thank goodness you called. They should have been suspicious at that point. I mean, someone happy to hear from them? But anyway, and they said, yes. And I said, oh, thank goodness, because I was actually driving in my van on the way to a competition, and I was hit from the side at an intersection, like, oh, this is great. I mean, you could tell the excitement at the other end of the phone. And I said, so what kind of competition was it? And I said, well, I was actually driving my prize-winning show ferret, Mr. Miffles, to a competition. But when we were hit from the side, Mr. Miffles was catapulted across the cabin. For the record, I do not own a ferret, and my colleagues didn't know that I was going to say all this when I was on the phone. So they were quite freaked out. And they said, okay, but were you injured? It's like they don't care about no stinking ferret, but they care about me. And so, once again, the gloves came off even more so. I said, well, actually, while I was operating this van, I was, a matter of fact, naked. And so, while Mr. Miffles sailed through the air, he actually bit me somewhere that I don't care to be bitten terribly much. And this was the point that they finally hung up. Or they basically said, I'm sorry, I think we should phone you back. Because, oh, yes, finally I've found their breaking point, thank goodness. But for the sake of my colleagues, I didn't have to go through that more than once. But, just in case they ever get the nerve to call back and try and harass me about my fictional van accident, I already have one more round in the chamber. That if they dare survive that whole roller coaster again and get to so you were bitten on your man parts by a ferret during the accident, but did you suffer loss of income? And I will say to them, well, as a matter of fact, I'm a hugely successful OnlyFans creator. And my audience were actually turned off by dinosaur band-aids all over my trouser tights. So can I sue for loss of income from that? And if they stay on the line after that, I mean, I should just surrender to them now. Say, Tara, how am I for time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Oh, golly. I'm sure I could make a joke in there about having 2 minutes. What could we do in 2 minutes? And oh, okay. Here's one of my favorites. A friend of mine who works in an office. 10 minutes before the fire alarm went off, he calmly put on his jacket and walked out and stood in the corner of the car park because my friend suffers from the embarrassing problem of premature evacuation. Thank you. That's time release comedy right there. I actually made that one up myself. Just like what sits at the bottom of the ocean and sings songs about being angry with her boyfriend. And no, it's not Taylor Swift. It's Atlantis Morissette. Okay, in 1996, that would have been hilarious. It's like rain. Anyway, I think that's enough for the time being. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you.
Another big lovely round.